AEW Double or Nothing 2024 is in the books, and here are my quick thoughts. First of all, I think this pay-per-view was a little bit long. AEW has received criticism in the past of having very, very long shows. In recent history and recent memory, they have kept most of their pay-per-views within a 4-hour time limit, but last night's Double or Nothing went well beyond that, and I think it's important to try to keep these pay-per-views to a 4-hour limit. Otherwise, you really run the risk of burning the audience out, especially those here in the States watching on the East Coast. They're going past midnight, getting close to 1 o'clock in the morning watching this. It's a little bit long. Now, granted, here in the States, today is a holiday, but still, I think when you start going 4.5, 5 hours into pay-per-views, that is a little bit much for the audience. So I think they need to try to keep these things within a 4-hour limit if they can. But despite the long pay-per-view that we got, I still thought it was an excellent show. One thing that AEW has always done very well, despite whatever controversies they have going on, backstage altercations, distractions, fights, declining attendance, declining ratings, uncertainty about their media rights future, whatever is going on in the company, whatever turmoil is going on, they always deliver on pay-per-view. And I think Double or Nothing 2024 was no exception. I've never purchased an AEW pay-per-view and felt like I didn't get my money's worth. So I think the pay-per-view was very good. Was it one of AEW's best? No. If some fans consider this to be a mediocre show by AEW standards, I can understand that point of view and that argument for sure. Overall, though, I still loved the show. We watched it together right here on the channel, had a blast watching it. That Anarchy in the Arena match was tripping me out. I cannot get over the visual of having a match in the ring with a human being hanging upside down in the middle of the ring. Not to mention the flamethrower stuff and all of that. I thought Anarchy in the Arena was a lot of fun. I'm still not really sure how my opinions match up to others and what you guys thought about it. Please let me know in the comments below. But I think it was my favorite Anarchy in the Arena match so far, just because of how wacky it got at the end there. I thought it was a lot of fun. But still, for those who are saying that this pay-per-view was a little bit on the mediocre side, I can understand that point of view, yes, but I certainly by no means think this was a bad show at all. We had great wrestling, we had returns, we had surprises, we had swerves, and we had title changes. I don't know really what else you want out of a show. So when it comes to that, I have very little to complain about in terms of me sitting down and having a fun night of wrestling. It went a little bit long. A couple of the match finishes I predicted wrong and maybe would have done differently, but I still very much enjoyed AEW Double or Nothing 2024. The show opened up with Roderick Strong defending his international title against Will Ospreay. Now, we had a very scary moment early on in the match when the Undisputed Kingdom was out there backing up Roddy. Now, they get their hands on Ospreay and they attempt to deliver a doomsday device on the floor to him, but it was a total disaster. Mike Bennett had Ospreay up on his shoulders, and then Taven was going to come flying over the top rope, Undertaker style, diving over the top rope to execute the doomsday device, but Taven's feet kind of got hung up on the ropes there. He didn't get enough height on that, didn't clear the ropes, landed terribly, and Will Ospreay came down right on the top and back of his head and neck in a very, very awkward landing that scared me to death. I don't know how he survived that, but he did. He proceeded to get up, recover, and have a great match with Roderick Strong that was tremendous. Ospreay did get the win with the Stormbreaker in the end and is your new AEW International Champion. Congratulations to him. Right after that match, Adam Cole returned. Adam Cole came down to the ring. I thought he might show up in the match during Roddy's match, but he came out after, and this is where we got a pair of returns that was really fun, but kind of came out of nowhere. Adam Cole marches down to the ring. He gets on the mic. He says that he hates Vegas. He should be in the back checking on Roddy. He should be in the back with Undisputed Kingdom. And better yet, he should be at home rehabbing his foot. But instead, he's here. He's got the devil mask, the MJF devil mask in his pocket. And he pulls it out and he says something like, there's a little bit of devil in all of us. And then all of a sudden, the lights go out and we're taken to the Tron where we see kind of like a little video vignette of an inside of a home, and it's got Burberry shit and pictures of MJF all over the wall, and you come to a red suit, and then he holds up a torn picture in half of Adam Cole and the other half MJF. The MJF music plays, and out comes MJF returning to AEW for the first time since the World's End pay-per-view at the end of last year. And he came out rocking some attire that was very reminiscent of what Triple H wore when he returned back in 2002, right before the Royal Rumble, with the cutoff jean jacket and the leather jacket underneath, and a little bit of a different look for Maxwell here. He looked great. He got in the ring, he gave Adam Cole a big hug, and then he proceeded to kick him in the balls and hit him with a brain buster. And Adam Cole took those bumps pretty nicely. I hope that means that Adam Cole is pretty much ready to return to the ring, because he's in there taking bumps. So if he's taking bumps, that tells me that he's cleared. But the fact that they had Cole and MJF come out back to back was a little bit head-scratching to me, and I didn't quite understand it. So after MJF took out Adam Cole, he then cuts a pretty heel promo on the fans, called us marks, said he's better than all of our favorites and better than us, of course. He takes the devil mask that Adam Cole had and says, "I hate this fucking thing." He drops a Ric Flair elbow on it, spits on it, and then throws it into the crowd. So I guess Adam Cole and MJF both being back in action, they just wanted to kind of give closure to that issue, I feel like. I feel like Adam Cole and MJF are done with each other. I feel like that was just their way of signifying that MJF is back and he's going to be doing his thing, and Adam Cole should be back at any point too. I was kind of hoping that Adam Cole would join the Elite, but it feels like they're not, since so much time has passed now. Even MJF in his promo, he said no more bullshit, no more funny business, no more kangaroo kicks. How dare he take away the kangaroo kicks? But he did. He's all business now, and this Adam Cole stuff is done. It was his way, I guess, and their way of saying this storyline was completely ruined by injury, and we're not even going to try to pay it off. We are done. So if that's what this meant, then great. Welcome back, MJF, and welcome back, Adam Cole. After that, we had the Bang Bang Gang defeating the Death Triangle to retain all 9 of their championships. They got this win with help from Juice Robinson, and it was reported by Fightful Select earlier on in the day that Juice Robinson was backstage. So him returning here made a lot of sense, helped the Bang Bang Gang retain, and Juice looked elated to be back. He was dancing and hopping all over that damn ring. It was pretty cool to see him return, and Bang Bang are still your 9-way tag team champions, or whatever the hell they are. Then we had Toni Storm defending her women's championship against Serena Deeb. Toni Storm got the win here as expected. Wasn't expecting Serena Deeb to pick up the championship because they are doing a lot with Toni Storm and Mariah May. Now, Mariah May, during the match, had the towel in her hand, and Toni Storm was being submitted in the ring, and Mariah May wanted to throw in the towel. Luther wouldn't let her. He took the towel away from her, and then when Toni Storm looked out there, she saw Luther had the towel, and she was all kind of pissed at him. But she wound up winning the match with a Storm Zero, celebrating with Mariah May after the match. But Toni does not know that Mariah May is the one that almost threw in that towel. So I feel like that could be your double or nothing match. Tony Khan did announce earlier on the buy-in something that I never mentioned during the watch party last night. He had Martha Hart there, and they announced that much like the King and Queen of the Ring in the WWE, the winners of the men's and women's Owen Hart Cup tournament will get title shots at All In. So that's huge, especially if you put Mariah May in the women's tournament and she wins it. That could be very, very interesting there, and maybe that's how you get to the Toni Storm and Mariah May match. Otherwise, I think you can just have a falling out there and it will work just fine. But the news on the Owen Hart tournament is kind of interesting, and it definitely feels like it's a direct response to what WWE is doing with the King of the Ring. But whatever. We have the tournament will be kicking off very soon in AEW, and we will see who wins that. After Toni Storm and Serena, we had Orange Cassidy taking on Trent. OC came out to his old school music. So he came out to Jane, or they started to play Jane, no Orange Cassidy, and then he came out to his previous music, which I think was by Pixies, I think. I can't remember, but his old school, early AEW Orange Cassidy music was back. I loved that. I had this match wrong. As a matter of fact, the next 4 matches in a row I predicted wrong. I had Trent Beretta beating OC here and joining the Don Callis family. Don Callis has been showing all this attention to Orange Cassidy, and I feel like it's going to be a swerve and Trent's going to be the one to turn. But Orange Cassidy beat him. Trent had a triangle choke. Cassidy rolled him over for the pin and picked up the win. Trent left the ring dejected. Rene Paquette tried to get an interview with him, and he just said, fuck this, I'm out of here. Rocky Romero was trying to calm him down, and he just basically said he quits, or I'm not doing this anymore. Later on in the night, Don Callis said something to the effect of he's going to have a contract for the Callis family offer for Orange Cassidy this week on Dynamite. So I feel like if they're going to do this turn with Trent, it's probably going to be this week on Dynamite, but I would have done it here. I would have had Trent beat OC and just do the turn here. Instead, you give another win to Cassidy, and now you're going to do, I guess, the heel turn with Trent on Dynamite, but it kind of doesn't add up. I would have had Callis just cost Orange Cassidy the match here. So I don't know what's going to happen here. Maybe it's not a ruse. Maybe Trent and Callis are not in cahoots right now. Maybe Trent is going to approach Callis in between now and Wednesday, and then they work something out and they attack Orange Cassidy, something like that. But Orange Cassidy got the win, and I had that wrong. Another one I had wrong was the triple threat or the 3-way for the FTW title. Once they added Shibata to that, every fan and their mother were saying the same thing. They're only putting Shibata in this to take the loss and take the pin. Well, the reason they kept saying that over and over is because it's true. That's what wound up happening. I didn't think that would happen. I thought Tony Khan would swerve us, put the belt on Shibata for a couple of weeks, and then put it back on Hook or Jericho. But instead, it went exactly the way we thought, with a little bit of extra interference in there. Big Bill was out there earlier. He ended up going through a table and nearly kind of impaled himself on the table leg of that. A little bit scary. But then Brian Keith showed up. It sounds like he's also going to be joining the Learning Tree. He came out and attacked the trash can on Shibata, and Jericho hit Hook with the Judas effect, but then elected to pin Shibata, just like everyone said. And I was so, no, it's not going to be that way. And it was that way. Way to go, Greg. What a brilliant guy that good mic work is. After that, we had another match that I got wrong. Jon Moxley taking on Konosuke Takeshita in an eliminator match. I guess they had to make this an eliminator match because Moxley wasn't going to defend the title. I don't like that. I feel like if a champion faces somebody on a pay-per-view that fans are paying $50 for, and the champion loses, then the person he lost to should be the champion. But I think when Moxley does drop that championship, it will be in a New Japan ring. But this match was still good, very fun, hard-hitting, brutal, and good stuff from both guys. I'm a massive fan of both guys. Death Rider for the win, put down Takeshita, and your IWGP champion was successful. Now, I think that's also good because I usually don't like to see champions pinned. After that, we had Adam Copeland defending the TNT title against Malachi Black in the barbed wire steel cage. This thing was all kinds of gnarly, and we knew it would be. There was barbed wire all around the top of the cage, woven into the mesh. We had weapons in the ring right away, tables and chairs before they even got going. And after they brawl and bloody each other up for a little while in the cage, Adam Copeland gets thrown through the cage door that breaks and gives way, and they fall and spill to the outside of the ring. When they do that, Brody King and Buddy and Brody come down to the ring when Malachi and Edge or Adam Copeland are both in the aisleway, and they go over and they stand near Malachi, and their body language was telling me as a fan that they're going to turn. They're going to turn on Malachi, and sure enough, they walk over to Adam Copeland, and they stand with Copeland, and I'm like, holy shit, a new leader in House of Black. And then what does Brody King do? Bam, blasts Adam Copeland. It was a swerve and then another swerve. They got me, and I love that. I like little things like that. I really enjoy being duped. You know, with a lot of us fans who've been watching for so long, it's kind of hard to trick us. So whenever we do get tricked, I love it. Doesn't make me mad. It makes me happy. I want to get tricked more. So I was very happy to kind of not see that coming and then get psyched out twice. So since House of Black are out there, they're all in the ring now. All three of them have Adam Copeland in the ring. I think Brody and Buddy are holding him, and Malachi's wrapping barbed wire around his head and whatnot. And then lights go down. We get music and lights and whatnot. Brody King gets like hit in the face by Gangrel, who is coming up through the ring. We had Gangrel on our radar. We've been talking about the Brood on the channel a lot lately. Even Adam Copeland's entrance last night at Double or Nothing was kind of had a Brood vibe. Tony Khan ponied up for Slayer. He came out to a badass theme up from underneath the ramp with the flames and whatnot. So it's kind of been on our radar that something Brood-like could be happening. We had the bloodbath last week. So Gangrel did, in fact, make an appearance. He came up through the ring, took out the members of House of Black, and that allowed Adam Copeland to take down Malachi Black with the crossface, wrapping the barbed wire around his face and really just pulling back. Malachi passes out. Referee calls for the bell, and Adam Copeland retains the TNT Championship. One big spot I forgot to mention. I need to mention this because it's important. One thing that Adam Copeland did do in this match is deliver a top of the cage elbow drop onto Malachi Black, who was laying horizontally on the table. And you didn't know what Copeland was going to do when he was up there, but the way he was coming down, it didn't even look like he was going to drop an elbow. It looked like he was going to hit Malachi with a coup de grace because he was just coming down feet first. And he ended up driving the elbow home, but landing on your legs like that. Think about Randy Savage jumping off the cage in WCW in 97 in that Piper and Hogan match, you know, coming down on his legs the way he did. And he's younger than Adam Copeland. And after the match, when he won and he's celebrating and going up the ramp with Gangrel, he is noticeably limping. I'm hoping he's just selling very, very, very well. And I hope he did not do any damage to himself taking that bump off the top of the cage. That was very scary and, quite frankly, maybe a little bit stupid. So hopefully everything is all well with Adam Copeland and he's not injured, because I would love to see Christian join this group. That would be a lot of fun. Now it was time for our triple main event. The first match was Mercedes Moné challenging Willow Nightingale for the TBS Championship. This match exceeded my expectations, and I'm so glad. I was worried how this one would come off. Loved Willow's gear tonight. Loved her long hair, different look. Thought that was great. Mercedes coming out to the ring, soaking it all up, of course. And we predicted Mercedes to win, but I was kind of thinking she would have to cheat to do so or do something kind of shady. And I wasn't sure what kind of match we were going to get in the ring. But you know what? We got a good one. We got a really good one. Mercedes looked great. So did Willow. Willow held her own, but I was really kind of keeping my eye on Mercedes just to see what she was going to be like in the ring rust wise, and, you know, how their chemistry and would flow in the match and whatnot. And I thought the match was really good. The fans were engaged and enthusiastic throughout the whole thing. This is awesome chants and the whole deal. It felt like the crowd was a little bit split too. You heard plenty of Mercedes chants and support in the audience, but it was just nice to hear the audience into the match. There was no quiet or dead spots, you know, or stale spots or clunky spots in the match. They did really well. I had a good time watching this one. Mercedes did not need a whole lot of heel tactics to win this match. She just straight up won it. She was able to deliver her finisher, which is that back underhook thing or whatever it is, onto Willow, which was pretty impressive. Now, it didn't look great, but it didn't look like total shit. It actually wasn't that bad. And she was able to pin Willow and win the TBS title. She, of course, in her heel way, was very celebratory with the championship and all of that. But you could see it in her eyes that it meant a lot to her, and that made me happy to see that in Mercedes, that it seemed like she was genuinely happy about this accomplishment. And even though her character is to be a full of herself heel that looks down her noses at everybody else and thinks they're inferior, you know, at the end of the day, I think she's really, really happy to be in that women's division, and it was nice to see that written on her face. And it made her winning a little bit easier to swallow. I wasn't sure how I felt about giving Willow the title just to drop it to Mercedes, but that's what they did. Now, luckily for Willow, she is going to continue on to do some other things, because that's where we got another swerve, another one of those double trick swerve things that we got in the barbed wire cage match. After the loss, Stokely Hathaway, who is not the person that said right in the butt on Wheel of Fortune, look it up. Just do it. He gets in the ring. He starts screaming at Willow Statlander steps in to kind of protect Willow. Not right now. There's another time and place for you to have this conversation with her, but right now you need to back off, and she shoves Stokely to the ground. And then she takes Willow out, and the two women are leaving. And I'm convinced that's it. I'm convinced that's the end of the segment. And as you get a few steps up the ramp, bam! Statlander blasts Willow, shoves her down right on the rampway there. Stokely smiles, gigantic fucking grin on his face. And Statlander wound up turning on Willow, beating her up. And it was another ruse between Statlander and Stokely, tricking me as a fan. I was tricked earlier and I was tricked again, and I love being tricked. So I'm glad that Statlander turned heel. That seemed like the next logical step for her. And now her and Willow will have a little thing. And I think Willow's, her motivation and attention is probably going to be on getting revenge on Statlander more than it is getting her title back from Mercedes. So I think now Willow and Statlander will enter into their little program, and Mercedes will probably defend her title in an interpromotional match at Forbidden Door, most likely. So that was a pleasant surprise, and I was very happy that that match exceeded my expectations. Up next was Swerve Strickland defending his AEW World Championship against Christian Cage. Now, Swerve, of course, was backed up by Prince Nana, and Christian had Killswitch, Mama Wayne, and Nick Wayne with him. But for some reason, Prince Nana was the first one to get tossed out of this match. Mama Wayne, on the outside, went to go get the AEW Championship belt. Prince Nana takes it away from her, or it might have been Nick Wayne. I can't remember which one he took it from. And then the referee sees Nana holding the belt and tosses him out. So now it's like 4-on-1. Eventually, Killswitch and Mama Wayne and Nick Wayne would interfere too much and get themselves tossed out as well, leaving Swerve and Christian in the ring 1-on-1, with Swerve putting down Christian in a tremendous finishing sequence to close out the match, complete with his stomp from the top rope and a beautifully brilliant looking house call. I love that finisher. I think it's my favorite finisher in wrestling right now. He hits that so well. It looks so good, so believable. The camera angle is always perfect on it, and I'm a big, big fan of the house call finisher, putting down Christian. No surprise there. Swerve Strickland, like I said in the watch party last night, the earliest, I think, in AEW that AEW can even consider taking the belt off of him would be All In. And a lot of fans might even think that's too early. But since we did get the word that the Owen Hart Cup finalists get title shots at All In, you have to wonder what that Owen Cup bracket is going to look like, especially now that MJF is back. Adam Cole might be in the mix. You got to wonder about Ospreay, Okada. If all of these guys are in it, who the hell goes over? And that left us with the main event here, this bonkers, insane Anarchy in the Arena match between the Elite and Team AEW. It was the Bucks and Okada and Jack Perry taking on FTR, Darby Allin, and Bryan Danielson. The match, I've seen one of these things in person before. We've seen Anarchy in the arenas and stadium stampedes. We know that they're all over the place. We know they're crazy, and this one was no different. It started off with a lot of the music playing like they've done in the past. I think they had Darby's music playing for the beginning of it, and then the Bucks said, shut off his music. Let's play our new theme music. And then they start playing the Bucks music. And then Danielson gets on the mic and says, turn this shit off and turn on the greatest music ever, the greatest theme song ever. And they start playing the Final Countdown. Detroit Pistons fans, if you know, you know. So they play that for a while. And then Matt Jackson gets on the mic and screams at the production crew to turn that off. It's costing us $200,000 every time they play that. It's not in the budget. That was fucking hilarious. So they're brawling all over the ring. We've got 4 different screens, 4 different cameras following everyone everywhere. And the interesting stuff is happening with Darby Allin and Jack Perry. So Jack Perry and Darby start brawling to the back. Darby Allin grabs Jack Perry right near the production trucks, and there's a big ice bath of that had beverages or water bottles in it or whatever. And he throws Jack Perry in the ice bath, and he holds him in there, and he's trying to drown him in the ice bath. So as soon as that happened, a couple of people in the chat said, hey, I think they're getting him wet because they're going to be busting out the flamethrower. And I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. But the problem is a lot of time went by. Jack Perry got wet, but then they did this whole other thing next to this shady looking debris pile, which was just a total planted pile, a total working pile. It's just FedEx boxes, some bullshit pallets, and those orange and white trash can looking things that you see on the side of road construction, but they were just like Rubbermaid trash cans painted orange and white. It just looked like shit. So they're brawling all over by that. And I think Darby gets taken out with a lead pipe or something. And we cut back to the arena. We're watching everybody brawl. And then when we go back to the backstage area, Jack Perry is now behind the wheel of what looks like an all black like party bus. And he drives that bus through the debris pile, which supposedly is housing Darby Allin, who's laying in that. And the truck then like hits the wall, and Jack Perry is slumped over and passed out at the wheel. So we have attempted murder, vehicular homicide, and assault taking place on this show. So now we're back in the arena again. And Darby Allin, after a while, after we've had some stage dives off the ladders and we're all up on the stage, we're jumping off shit. It's bloody. It's crazy. Cash Wheeler is out there kind of looking like Kevin Owens, and Dax Harwood looks a lot like Tomohiro Ishii with that belt that he's got on. So they're bloody as hell, and everybody's brawling everywhere. And then we see Jack Perry resurface, and Jack Perry comes back out to the ramp, and he looks crazy wet. Like too much time had gone by between the water bath and then him getting behind the wheel of the bus and driving through that and all the brawling he did. He would be a little bit dry right now. He'd still be wet, but he would not be shiny and greasy the way he was. So I was saying, hey, whoever in the chat mentioned that, I think you're onto something here. They've got some shit on him to gimmick the flamethrower. So then he goes over to the gorilla position, I guess, and grabs Tony Khan and abducts Tony Khan. So Jack Perry, covered in this shit, abducts Tony Khan, drags him away. The brawling continues. Darby Allin then shows up with the flamethrower like we figured he would. He's out there with the flamethrower and it's already lit. And he's kind of waiting behind the tunnel. And Jack Perry is dragging Tony Khan with him. And as soon as Jack Perry comes out of the tunnel, Darby hits him with the flamethrower, and it actually lights Jack Perry on fire, lights his legs on fire. He's burning. He's kind of dancing around a little bit. Meanwhile, Tony Khan flees the scene, rolls down the ramp, down the aisle ramp. It was just quite a bonkers scene. And as soon as Jack Perry is lit on fire for a couple of minutes, the Bucks were standing there already with fire extinguishers in their hands, and they put him out immediately and extinguish him. But honestly, I thought it looked pretty good. AEW does not have a great track record with the special effects. You know, that Moxley and Kenny debacle with the snakes and sparklers going off when the whole damn building was supposed to explode. I know there's been a bump or two off the top of the blood and guts cage that hasn't looked great. So when it comes to this type of stuff, they haven't done terribly well, but I thought this looked pretty good. And they were able to actually light this guy on fire without hurting him. They were smart to dunk him in the water. That way they have a reason for him to look all shiny and wet with whatever flame retardant fluid he was dunked in. I'm not really sure, but that was pretty awesome. So he gets lit up. He's on fire now. The match progresses now back into the ring. They get a hold of Darby Allin in the ring now, and they lower like a cable from the ceiling, and the Bucks start tying up Darby Allin's feet on this thing. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, Martha Hart was on the pre-show. We just passed the 25th anniversary of Owen Hart's death just a couple of days ago. Please tell me we are not lifting this guy up to the ceiling or whatever. But luckily we didn't. They just lifted him a few feet off the ring mat. So we have this match going on, and I could not get over this visual. We have a match going on in the ring with a human being hanging upside down right in the middle of it. And Okada then reaches under the ring, gets a shoebox, and he's got a pair of Reebok pumps. And they have, these are new Reebok pumps, by the way, that come out, I believe today, available everywhere at Champ Sports, according to Excalibur. And the Reebok pumps have got thumbtacks on the bottom of them. So the Bucks put them on, they pump up their shoes, and they hit an upside down Darby Allin who's hanging up there like a freshly killed fucking elk. And they hit him with a double super kick to the face, and he immediately grabs his face, and there's just blood and broken bones and teeth and everything, and he's just hanging upside down with blood dripping from his face while the match continues around him. Eventually, Jack Perry recovers, finds himself back in the ring, and is able to measure Danielson, who's on his knees trying to help an upside down Darby Allin and comes in and delivers a pretty nasty knee strike to the back of Danielson's head and pins him for the win for his team. And I was hoping, and we predicted when in the predictions, that if the Elite win, I think Jack Perry needs to be the person to score the pinfall. And he did, pinning Bryan Danielson in, I think, my favorite Anarchy in the Arena match. I loved how they set Jack Perry on fire. I liked Tony Khan flying all down the rampway. That was hilarious. And an upside down Darby Allin getting double super kicked in the face with Reebok pumps with thumbtacks on the soles. That's wild. That is so wild, so fun. Loved everything about that match. I really did. It was crazy, but it was fun. I think the only thing AEW needs to try to do in the future is not have these shows go so long. A little bit of time management would have, I think, served them well last night, because it was a really long show when it was said and done. But at the end of the day, it was a really good show. So I enjoyed it very, very much. Thank you so much for watching this quick review. Please let me know your thoughts and opinions and what you thought of Double or Nothing down in the comments below. If you are living here in the States, happy Memorial Day to you. Hope you have a great day. There will be no Raw review this evening. I've got family stuff going on, but you guys will be seeing me again later on this week. But until then, please let me know what you thought of Double or Nothing down below. Y'all have a great one. Talk to you soon. Peace.